Aloha. Welcome to the Art of Care Mapping session that was held at the 2023 SPIN conference. My name is Susan Wood, and I am from Hawaii Island, and I have two adult children, one with autism, so I've been working in the field and advocating for families for many years. Today's session, we're going to cover some of these learning objectives. We're going to demonstrate a basic understanding of care mapping and how it can help youth, families, and providers. And we're going to understand the intersection between care mapping, self-advocacy skills, and transition. So as you can see, that the care mapping tool and activity itself can do much more than just talk about one topic. So here we go. What is care mapping? Care mapping is actually a process which guides and supports the ability of families and care professionals to work together to achieve the best health outcomes. We've learned through this process that it's much more than health outcomes. It's really looking at a whole child. It's a family-driven, person-centered process which highlights a family's strengths, and it communicates both the big picture and the small details of all of the resources needed to support a child and their family. It really does provide a comprehensive snapshot of your family. And here we've added a link that has a WordPress document that has a poster about care mapping. So let's talk about where this came from. This is Gabe's care map. His mom, Kristen Lynn, actually gave birth to this care map. Her child had many complex health challenges and worked with doctors at Boston Children's Hospital to understand all of the complex services that her child needed and everything that their family had to be a part of. And as you can see, this complex chart, it's a lot for a caregiver to go through for one child. So we give kudos to Kristen for sharing this with us and allowing us to promote her care mapping to help families across the state. We've also used this care map active adults. Really, you can be as creative as you want. We've used it in our LEND program to get to know our leadership trainees, and it's just a powerful way to get to know someone. Ho'opio is our self-advocate from Oahu, and he also shared his care mapping with us after our activity. And we have others we'd like to share with you. Our own Amanda Kahanui's son's care map was done both ways. It was done in writing and different colors as well as digital. So you can be as creative as you want in creating a care map for your child and with your child. So simple instructions here. We'll go through the entire map, taking it slide by slide, and feel free to pause the recording at any time to create your own care map with your child, or use it as a fun activity over the summer and create this care mapping that we'll talk about a little later about how you can use it in the school setting and with other professionals. So we usually start getting 6 different colored markers. We're going to cover 6 domains. Poster paper, you can do it digitally, any creative way that you choose. And you sit back, relax, and think about your life and your child's life as you create the personal care map. So the first thing we do is draw a circle, and in the middle of the circle, you put your child's name, or your child can put his name, or he can draw something. If he's into robots, he might draw his favorite robot. Whatever your child would like to do to put that signature on that circle. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is services. And so we'll walk through all of these services. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about advocacy, government, and organizational supports. We're going to be talking about recreation, community, your family, neighborhood and community supports, early intervention or school supports your child may have, and medical or health supports. So we'll do this one at a time. So now let's look at early intervention or school support. So depending on your child's age, whether it's elementary, middle, or high, you would look at the appropriate supports that your child may have and identify the supports in this bubble. So I'll give you some examples in the next slide. Does your child have any assistive technology supports? A tech person involved in helping your child? Any training around assistive technology? What about other training supports for IEPs, IDEA, 504, school-based counseling? Are you connected to any supports in schools? There's a PCNC, a parent community networking coordinator in most schools, not all schools, so you'll have to check it out. The same thing with the PTSAs. They're not in all schools, but they're in some schools across the state. Each school has a school community council you could be involved in to learn more. What about extracurricular supports? Any clubs, dances, sports, field trips, services, therapy, speech, OT, behavioral? I'm not going to read all of them. You'll have these slides that you can go through and think through the process. What about after-school programs, transportation, peers, school-based behavioral health, school health, your classroom teachers and aides and care coordinators? So identify all the early intervention or school supports that your child may have. And if your child's in middle school or high school, and even elementary, have them help you with this process so they can start to understand all of the supports they have in their school setting or in EI. Now let's talk about health. What are the list of the doctors in your child's life? Are there any nurse practitioners, clinics, hospitals, right? What about insurance, your medical information, Medicaid? What, Medicaid services, how to get Medicaid services, supports for speech, OT, mental health, training, supports for visual hearing, physical, behavior, public health agencies. As you can see, as we go through these slides, there's a theme around these domains. Any specialty hospitals, specialty clinics that your child needs to go to. So you would write all of those in these bubbles. Again, you can pause as we go through each one and work on your map, or you can come back later with your child and do this together as a fun activity. Now let's look at information advocacy and leadership. Where do you get your information? How do you get for your information? Do you even know where to look to get your information? So we're going to provide you with some of these resources. There may be support groups across the state. If you don't have one in your area, you might be able to join another support group. Since COVID-19 happened, we've had a lot of support groups go virtual. And so if you need to know where there are support groups, contact the SPIN office and they may be able to help you. Training, workshops, conferences. If you can attend these conferences to help you and your child advocate for the needs of your child, is, be a wonderful thing to do. There's councils across the state, community children's councils, there's the developmental disabilities councils, the Special Education Advisory Council. What about transition services for your child in high school? Have you thought about these transition services? Where do you get information from? Let's see, what else? Government supports. Does your child qualify for Social Security income or disability income? What about food, housing, and employment? as they get closer to transition, what about registering to vote, legislation? How do they get a state ID? And how does transition services happen? What about guardianship? There's all this information that's very helpful for you and your child. Recreation and community. Look at your child. What activities does he or she like at home? Do you have respite, childcare? What happens? Do you have neighbors, extended ohana that help your child or have children that play with your child? What about clubs, dances, summer activities, volunteer opportunities? And what about transportation? How does your child get to these activities? And what about life skills opportunities, making friends? So really thinking about what your child likes to do, and this would be a great conversation with your child, and seeking opportunities for his or her passion in life and making those connections. Now let's look at legal and financial, which is a really sexy subject here, but it's very important to think about this as our kids transition out of school and become an adult. So you may think about, what does the finances look like? And first check your schools to see if they have any financial literacy courses, or if there's workshops that they could refer you to so you can get some information, learning about Social Security and how to apply for Social Security. What's the criteria to apply for that? What about a special needs trust for your child? What does that look like? And now we have ABLE accounts, which are amazing, that youth can save money. And if they have Medicaid services, their Medicaid services will not be discontinued. What about guardianship decisions and power of attorney? What supports does your child need around financing and decisions and healthcare? Lots of stuff to think about, and lots of resources out there now. The SPIN, Special Parent Information Network website, has a lot of great information, infographics that can help you get information, make decisions, and contact people if you need further information to support what you need. Self-advocacy and transition to adulthood. As you've seen in the objectives at the beginning of this workshop, we talked about how does care mapping help you think about advocacy skills for your child and support for transition. As you go through each of the domains, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, you can actually develop great IEP goals based on what does my child need to know about this domain. For example, as early as 9th grade, you can work with your school to help your child learn how to make doctor's appointments, how to make dentist appointments. You can actually have that added into the IEP as a goal to support your child when he transitions out of high school. So it's just about being creative. And what's really nice about this care mapping, when your child is bought into this or helps to create his own mapping, he or she can take this to an IEP meeting and share his life and share all the things that he wants to do and get the team talking about how to support your child. And having these self-advocacy goals, learning about what he or she needs throughout this process in the school setting will help him transition to adulthood. You'll have things in place for his transition to life and other service he or she may need, and have a better start in life if you can start this process early on. Now, we're hoping that the schools would start this process. They're not doing it in schools. You as a parent have to take this map in and start the dialogue. And the maps will change, your child will grow, and he may have different passions, and that's okay. You just change your map up and take it back to the school, take it back to your meeting. And, this is a great way of them having their own voice in their life and in services. One of the things also about the care mapping, which is really, really awesome that came about, is now they have an app. So it's just like this fitness, Fitbit apps and Apple Watch, and you can download this app. It's free, and I'm going to show you a few things here. It looks like what you may see in other apps. You can put your child's name, date of birth, any information, whether they have allergies, medications, medical history, activities, sleep, height. It tracks all of these activities, and you can add your doctor, any specialty physicians you have, friends and family in your app. This is really, really important. Now, one of the things that, we don't talk about, that's really not in the original care map, supporting yourself. As caregivers, we're doing a lot for our kids. Our kids need a lot more attention and support that maybe our neurotypical kids don't need. And so it's so important to take care of yourself, have self-care. And if you need therapists, go ahead and get a therapy session to help you. Reach out to your friends and neighbors and families to help support you, because caregivers are the gems behind all of our kids. We need to make sure that we're all taken care of. So really think about self-care and take care of yourself. Thank you for listening to this session, and have fun working with youth on creating their care map and sharing it with schools and your doctors and anyone else that your child would like to share it with. Have fun with it. Enjoy. Thank you so much for listening to this session. Aloha and mahalo.